what's going on? Welcome in. So this is what, episode 5, I think.
Yeah.
Episode 5 of the podcast. And I'm looking forward to doing this every week, whether it's a win, whether it's a loss. It's always fun to kind of just dive on, unprepared, no notes, and just kind of, you know, rehash how the game went, kind of preview the next game too. But the Jets are 1-1. And it wasn't a fun game against the Dallas Cowboys. That's kind of an understatement. I was frustrated as hell watching it.
Yep.
And of course, joined by Tyson, Let's Talk Jets Radio. What's good, dude? I think I know how you're feeling, but what's going on?
I was looking forward to this all day, man, because
Yeah.
you have the instant reaction, which you do right after the game, and then it kind of festers for a day. You have last night, then you have today, and then you watch the press conferences. I'm frustrated. I'm annoyed. It's not the end of the world, but there are some things we're going to talk about that are concerning, some surprising things that happened, but they're 1-1, dude. It's just, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. This is a low. It's how you deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. And we're going to kind of talk about the stuff that we were really disappointed in. And there was, as far as, I was concerned, like there was multiple things, but I do feel like I think it's important to start with the positive, which is we're 1-1.
Yep.
We're not 1-6. We're not 2-8. We are 1-1 going up against the New England Patriots, a huge game in the AFC East. I mean, and granted, the Patriots will come out firing. They're 0-2. They're freaking desperate for a win. But I mean, you look across the AFC. I mean, KC's 1-1, Cincinnati's 0-2.
Yep.
We'll see what happens with the Steelers and the Browns tonight. But it's week 2, right? It would be a different story if this is week 7 and the Jets have this a laundry list of issues here. But I think that's the positive. I don't want that to get overlooked here. I mean, we can very well bounce back next week. I mean, if we beat the Patriots, there will be a different tune coming out of, Jets Nation for sure.
Yeah, man, it's an NFC game on the road. So it's like, all right, you can watch this one, but this Patriot game is pivotal, dude. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Like, it's a home game, division game after a bad loss. You got to rally the troops. You'll figure out what the leadership is on this team, what this coaching is all about. Because if you look at this game from the Cowboys, the most disappointing thing for me, to be honest with you, was they came out flat, dude. They looked outcoached. They looked unprepared. It's just like the energy, the effort, everything. It was like, was that an emotional letdown from like, all right, we beat the Bills, but we lost Aaron Rodgers? Was that kind of the emotional letdown where they came like, it all, you know what I mean? Like, to me, they were just flat. It just like from the first drive, to be honest with you, and this is going to sound like I'm an old fan, dude. That first drive when the Cowboys marched down the field and scored, I'm like, this is not a good sign. I'm like, we've seen this before with Salah's defenses, but that's the tone setter because now you're giving the ball to Zach Wilson already down 7-0. It was like the worst case scenario, but the defense is the tone setter. That's something that's so proud of, like 85 Bears, all this stuff. Like, you have your chance to make your statement right here, first series of the game. And I was like, oh no, here we go. Like, what was your reaction to start? Like, I was shocked that they're that bad.
Yeah, so actually, I was watching the game, but previously during the 1:00 hour, me and my brother were watching the Raiders-Bills game. And, obviously the Bills lost in week 1. But what happened in that Buffalo game in the first drive, the Raiders got the ball and they went right down the field, not a single negative play, and punched it in 7-0. The Bills got the ball back. They looked a little shaky early on, but long story short, they responded and they ended up blowing the Raiders out. After that TD initially by Las Vegas, it was pretty much all Buffalo from there on out. The Bills responded. They understood, the magnitude of the game. And I was thinking after that first Cowboys drive, okay, it's just a drive. Dallas's offense is a lot different than the Buffalo Bills. They have a absolutely stacked offensive line. And first away game of the season, I was kind of thinking, all right, you know what? Like, it sucks to just get dominated like that on the first drive of the game, but hopefully we can bounce back as we settled in. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. We've seen slow, sluggish starts from Saleh before. It's not just this isn't a Hackett thing. We've seen this since Saleh was hired for 3 years. There's games where we just come out and we just, it's multiple 3-and-outs. It's a turnover early. It's, whatever the case, penalties, whatever it is, it takes us a couple quarters sometimes to really settle in, if that makes sense. And it just didn't seem like we did. It just felt like, credit Dallas. They came to play. Dak was playing super smart football, just checking it down, taking the easy stuff. Didn't really force much of anything outside of the, Sauce drop, that interception on the side,
brutal,
which was brutal.
Yep.
I know in the heat of the play, it's just like, oh man, come down with it. But hey, it is what it is. It's a pass deflection. But looking back, I mean, that could have been the pivot. That could have been the turning point, in my
Yep.
opinion.
Oh yeah, it's a huge swing. You go from having a pick six to giving up a touchdown at the end of that drive. And to me, it's like you look at this defense, and we were so proud of it last week. 5 sacks. You're like, they're going to attack Dak because the offensive line, while good, was banged up too. The Cowboys' offensive line was banged up, and I thought they'd get more pressure. Like, there's a lot of high-priced guys on this defensive line, dude. You have Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, Carl Lawson's back, all these guys. And I'm like, all right, they're going to get pressure. They're going to collapse the pocket. They're going to do a lot of good things. They were getting pushed off the ball. They only got 1 sack. It was Solomon Thomas. And you're like, how is this happening? So they didn't get pressure. And what was more concerning to me was they were playing like this zone where CeeDee Lamb is just running free. Like, he's like, Dak is experienced enough to find if you're not going to get pressure on him, he can hit the open guy. And CeeDee Lamb was open. And I'm like, all right, at what point are we going to change this and either put sauce on him, go man, do something different because you're getting torched? I mean, what were your thoughts? That was surprising, the pass rush and how they got dominated on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, no, I mean the pass rush, like naturally, I mean you're just as a fan, you're kind of thinking preseason, you're thinking joint practice. Okay, the defensive line is getting after whoever it is, Carolina, Tampa,
Yeah.
New York Giants. Week 1, we got after Josh Allen. I felt like one of the big reasons why the defensive line, just wasn't getting home. I mean, Dak's first option was there. Like he snapped the ball, 1, 2, 3 balls out. Like it wasn't a situation throughout the course of the game where Dak would drop back. He's scanning, he's waiting, he's extending a play.
Yep.
It's like he would just drop back and boom, hit the short pass. Like I felt like he again kind of did a good job of just understanding what the Jets do well, which is get after the passer, and was totally fine just hitting Turpin, right? Just quick little dink and dunk. And then I don't think it's, obviously it doesn't help that CeeDee Lamb is just running wide open, just finding like the pockets in the defense, just kind of the soft spots, right, where nobody is, and Dak would just hit him in stride. So man, it was brutal. But I mean, I think it goes a little bit beyond that too. Like I felt like the tackling was poor.
Yes.
Like that was something that
sloppy.
Man, like that is just something that the Jets don't like we tackle well. Like from week to week, and granted, I am referencing a lot of last season, but we are a pretty good tackling football team. I know we over pursue sometimes, but we're not one of these teams where, running backs just bounce off for guys and they just keep on trucking. I felt like we were blitzing a lot for some reason, like to really try to get after Dak. But, if you're sending blitzes and Dak is still getting rid of the football quickly, that just puts you in more of a worse off position, for yards after the catch and things like that. So it was just a tough day overall.
Yeah, and it's disappointing because in a week like this, like the defensive players know this game is on our back. In order for us to stay competitive, we've got to make big plays. We've got to be consistent. We got to be sound. The fundamentals were off. You mentioned the tackling. They couldn't get a friggin' turnover. I mean, Sauce drops the pick. They had a forced fumble. They don't recover it. There's 4 guys standing right there. It was just like they weren't there, man. Like they're like just not on the same page. Like I'm curious to see what the adjustments are as the game happens. Like you're watching it and you're trying to figure it out, and then you're starting to get annoyed. And you're like, make a change here, do this. And it's like they didn't play complementary football. It's like, and then the Jets scored a touchdown, right? You're like, all right, we're back in the game. The defense just get off the field, and Sauce has that chance right there. You talked about it. It's like, all right, get off the field, give them the ball back, and let's see what we can do. And they can't even do that. It's like it's just so frustrating.
Yeah, and it's like it's another thing. They couldn't get off the field on third downs.
Oh, brutal.
I don't have the exact stats pulled up. I could
the final stats don't reflect it, dude, because there was garbage time stuff. At one point, they were like 8 of 11 or some ridiculous thing. It was bad.
I want to just quickly kind of get the box score, just see how many first downs Dallas got. But while this is sitting here loading, couldn't get off the field on third downs. And then another like facet too that we have to factor in, the offense kept going 3 and out. So it's just like you're putting the defense back on the field. Factor in that these guys aren't tackling well. It doesn't look like it's the best game plan. We're trying to blitz. We look a step slower. Just frustrating as hell. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on like Hackett and the offense. But from top to bottom defensively, it was just it just kind of felt like, I don't know. It just seemed like the Jets as a whole, like didn't get like much sleep the night prior, or like we woke up like an hour before the game. Like we were just a step slower.
Dude, that's the weird thing is, like, last week we talked about how proud we were of this defense. They were flying around with passion and energy. They set the tone with big hits. You had all these great moments against the Buffalo. And this week it was a complete opposite. They looked slow, they looked lethargic, they looked unprepared, they were thoroughly outcoached, I thought, from my untrained eye. And you're just disappointed because you expect more. Like, this isn't like last year. Like, our expectations are a lot higher this year. So this wasn't a must-win game. I'm like, if you're gonna lose a game, NFC, I'm fine with it. But if they pulled something like this against the Patriots, dude, like, we're going to be out of our minds. Like, it's just not acceptable. And not getting off the field on third down. So the offense is not getting the ball for minutes at a time. Dude. Like, you're sitting around waiting. You're going to get, like, it's hard to build any momentum if you're not getting the ball back. Right. So it's really, really disappointing. I know Salah said all kinds of things and the players are saying all the right things, but I don't care what you say. I don't care what you put on social media. It's the field. So this is your game for the defense. Okay. This is your bad one. Week 2, you've had a bad one already. But week 3, you have to play at a much higher level here. You cannot, if this team can have any success this year, this defense has to be much better consistently.
Yeah. So Dallas had 26 first downs. The Jets had 12. Oh. They had over 42 minutes of time of possession. The Jets had 17 minutes, just under 18 here. Third down efficiency, obviously an offensive stat. Dallas was 9 of 18. Jets were 1 of 10. There were a lot of punts, man. Like, that was just, I guess, perfect segue into the offensive side of the football. I mean, man, that was, God, it was brutal. Whether you want to talk about like the Cook fumble, the play call.
I'll quickly start this.
Go for it.
Now, if we're being completely transparent, one of the things we talked about the entire offseason was the offensive line. And everybody's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Dwayne Brown's back, got 2 weeks, all this stuff. What drove me crazy, and I'm just a casual fan, dude. I mean, I watched the game. When you're watching Dwayne Brown on an island by himself with Micah Parsons and not getting help repeatedly the entire game, it made no sense to me. Like, he was getting torched, dude. They couldn't account for him anywhere. But when you see him lined up there, Salah kept saying, well, they're moving him around. He was lining up there, dude. He lined up right in front of Dwayne Brown, off to the left of him, and took off. And that's where he went. Nobody in the backfield, no running back, no tight end help. It just seemed like they weren't adjusting. Like, I'll give you the first quarter, into the second quarter, the offensive line was struggling. You've got to make changes, right? You have to. And then they get back in the game. They're still doing the same damn thing. It just, like, the offensive line is concerning. And it's not just Dwayne Brown, because it's easy to see because he was getting torched. Tomlinson, not very good. There were several times McGovern, the guys running past him, he didn't know which guy to grab because they're both running past. He's like looking around. Becton did all right, a couple full starts, whatever. But to me, and it's like a instant reaction kind of take, I'm ready to make changes now. Like, I have no problem putting Tippmann in for Tomlinson. I have no problem saying, hey, you want to move Becton or AVT to left tackle? No problem with me. Like, I don't care, dude. Because if Aaron Rodgers was playing this game, he'd probably get his ass kicked too. Like, the pocket was constantly collapsing.
Yeah, no, I mean, we talked about it last week, bro. Lyle Collins is still out in the open market. 100%. I know he's hurt. I know it's not like the Jets can sign him and he's starting, for New England, but, the New England game. But at least you're going to have a healthy option in the wings, right? To where 2 weeks goes by, and if you're still having offensive line struggles, it's like, okay, hold on a second. We have a potential upgrade, a likely upgrade already on the roster, healthy, ready to go.
Yep. what's
mind blowing to me is kind of like listening to Salah in the press conferences talk about, and he is referencing the quarterback position a lot, with what I'm about to say, but it trickles into offensive line. We had all off season to figure out a backup, like to bring in a Minshew, bring in a Teddy Bridgewater. Like, fans were clamoring for that. Like, hey, just in case Rodgers were to go down, just in case, ideally, we would like to have a veteran who can step in. Obviously, he's not going to be A-Rod. He's not going to mimic his production or anything like that, but at least he gives us, a great chance to go out there. Wasn't done. Well, I guess you could say Tim Boyle, but, a high-end backup is just, it just wasn't even really explored. Same thing that could be said with the offensive line. It's like the only report that I saw, it was that the Jets had interest in Orlando Brown. Yep. Supposedly, Orlando Brown had a contract offer out on the table worth more money from the Jets, and he chose the Bengals. It is what it is. But what happened with Caleb McGarry from the Falcons? What happened with, there was tons of offensive linemen, Andre Dillard, Andrew Wiley, tons of tackles, Donovan Smith, 1 year, $3 million with the Chiefs. And we just chose to, we brought in Billy Turner. It's a depth move. understands the system, worked with Rodgers, worked with Hackett. I get it, but it's like for us to put so much of our stock into Becton coming off of 2 seasons of not playing.
Yep.
Dwayne Brown, who's 37, I believe he's 37 years old, coming
Yeah.
off of a
Yeah.
shoulder surgery. And it's like, we don't have reinforcements or like consistent reinforcements behind those guys. It's like, it's a question mark if we're going to get, average production from the starting group. And in the event that they either don't play well, like we've been seeing, or somebody goes down with an injury, it's just like, man, what do we do now? We have to panic, overpay for somebody, trade for somebody, get them acclimated to the system. What I was going to quickly say, though, was Saleh made a comment about the quarterback position and it not being Madden, right? It's not plug and play.
Yep.
But that to me means get him in the building as soon as possible so he does have weeks to prepare.
100%.
Not do anything, because all that's going to do is prolong it. Does that make am I making sense here? Or?
They're almost being arrogant about the way they handle the offensive line, the quarterback position. That's the way I look at it. They're being arrogant because we questioned this the entire offseason and like, oh, just don't worry about it. We're gonna be fine. We have a lot of confidence. Even McGovern, dude. They didn't look to upgrade the center position. They drafted Tippmann, but Tippmann's been like a guard at this point. Like it wasn't like a concern. It was like, oh, we're going to bring back all reliable. We're going to be fine. And now it's blown up in our face a little bit where it's like, you're having this offensive line struggle. And if you have a young quarterback, it's the worst case scenario because Zach gets skittish. He gets overwhelmed. He gets a little uncomfortable in the pocket. He's not getting a clean pocket. And it's just like, so you go from the offensive line being bad to, we'll say the quarterback to last, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
To just a play calling. Which it's just like, if you're going to play call scared, the quarterback shouldn't be in the game. That's the way I look at it. If you're going to handcuff him and be like, you know what, we're going to run third and long pass, put him in bad situations, or if you're going to go like jumbo package, only one receiver in the route. I mean, like, if you're going to play like that, it's almost like they have no faith in him. That's kind of the way I look at it. They said they did, but they're so ultra conservative. And then they abandoned the run game. I'm like, what? Like it was, and no Hardman either. Like to me, it's like the way the Cowboys attacked us should be the same way we attack them. And we didn't do that. Like this offense looks so difficult. Like a 5-yard pass seems like it's like a monumental achievement. Like, oh, we completed a pass. Everybody else, like Minshew comes in for the Colts. Everything looks fine. Like quarterbacks all throughout the NFL, the offense looks easy. Ours is never easy, right?
Dude.
It looks difficult.
Bro, Dobbs signed weeks ago in Arizona, and he's dropping. I'm not saying Dobbs is fantastic, but he's out there throwing ropes, completing passes, taking the Giants to the end. Everybody's projecting Arizona to be picking first overall, selecting Caleb Williams, tanking future. They're moving on from pieces. Isaiah Simmons, moving all their guys. And it's like their offense looks so much better. And what was it? I think they have a first-year play caller trying to restart everything. They got a bunch of young players, and it looks better. And we got the squad with all the names. We got the squad that's being paid a ton of money. So, and like another thing too, it's just like the empty sets. Like that's what I was confused about. It's just like, like Hackett made a comment, I think leading up to the game where like he kind of made a joke like, oh, Micah Parsons is a great player. I don't know if he said like he was unblockable or what have you, but it's almost just like it just didn't seem, it almost just kind of felt like that. Yes, they understood that Micah Parsons was a beast, but it was just like, hey, if he makes a play, he makes a play. He's great. Oh, well, move on to the next play. It's just like, we got to do everything we possibly can. If we feel like Parsons is that, if we hold him in that high of a regard, then we need to be taking him out of the game. Whether it's rolling the opposite way, whether it's making sure he's always chipped, literally sometimes taking 2 offensive linemen and just, pushing him aside, just kind of ganging up on him and just taking him out of the game, then that's what you have to do, right? I don't want to see Micah Parsons one-on-one. I mean, I know a lot of people are down on Dwayne Brown and, he did not perform well, but it's like you could put a top 15 tackle out there. Parsons is probably still going to dominate if he has one-on-one matchups all the time. So it's frustrating stuff, man. And again, credit Dallas. It's a great team. They got talent all over the place. Back end with Gilmore and Diggs, like they were making plays, but it's just like, man, like I was expecting a little bit more from the play calls, from the game plan going in, from the tackling, protecting Zach Wilson. I mean, pass protection was an issue last week.
Dude,
granted, even short week, but
dude, even like the 3rd and 1, the quarterback sneak. Every team in the friggin' NFL 3rd and 1, they can do the quarterback sneak. Every team gets it. It's like a foregone conclusion. Oh, the quarterback's going to go. They're going to push them through. First down. We can't even get that right. Like, it's just the offense. There's no rhyme or reason. They don't seem like they're in sync. And what's starting to annoy me is like, well, it's Zach's first game. Well, he played last week. And let's stop making excuses. How about we have a little bit higher standards here and stop accepting poor line play and poor play calling? Because like we're not the same team. Like it gets really frustrating, dude. So you go from offensive line was weird, play calling was strange, the running backs were underutilized. But what I want to get is your take on this. Breece Hall after the game fired out a tweet, showing the 4 footballs, and he was kind of after the game. He said the right things, but on social media, he kind of is like, "Hey, man, I didn't get enough opportunities." And to me, it rubbed me the wrong way. And I love Breece Hall, dude. I think he's a star in the making. I'm glad he's back. He's a big part of his team, but it's week 2. You had a big game last week. They're trying to do the right thing. The offense didn't have the ball, dude. Like you talked about it, how the time possession was ridiculous. Like I hated that he did that. It really, really bothered me that he did that. Cause I'm like, dude, we have enough problems here. Don't add more fire to the social media world with your stuff because we don't need it at this point.
Yeah, and then Gardner ended up I think he got into it with a Cowboy fan or something, and he deleted his Twitter.
Yeah.
For me, it's just kind of like I like that our guys are pissed off that they're not contributing, that they're losing because Breece Hall literally feels I am one of the best backs in football.
Yep.
We lost today because I wasn't able to impact it. I like that mentality. I just don't like what you were saying, like adding more on top of it because it just shows that the cage is being rattled, right?
Yep.
Like that things are kind of getting a little crazy. Solo looked, downright sad, like just like defeated in the post-game presser. I don't know if you caught it, but it was just like he looked just, like on the verge of tears, like he was upset. And then you have Sauce Gardner, on Twitter deleting it, and Breece Hall on Twitter and deleting it. Just I don't know. I just want us to kind of understand. I posted a video about it today where I'm like, bottom line is like, yeah, we got our ass beat against Dallas, but it is what it is. You can't go back in time. They're 1-1. They're not 1-5. They got a huge game next week. Don't show the world that we're so shaken mentally.
That's a 1 loss.
Like, yeah, Dallas is a great football team. We're going down there, backup quarterback, in Dallas. I believe it's their home opener.
Yep.
Yeah, so the place is going to be rocking. Dallas, people are talking about them as a Super Bowl team. Yeah, Micah Parsons did his thing. Yeah, we got out coached, but it's like it is what it is. Use this game as a learning experience. I brought up the 2010 Jets losing 45-3 against the Patriots.
Yep.
I mean, everybody counted us out after that game. What did Rex Ryan do? They looked at themselves in the mirror and said, hey, you know what? Yeah, we made mistakes. Yeah, they kicked our ass, but we're going to turn around and use this game. Figure out what the hell went wrong and move forward and look like a better team on the other end of it. That's what the Jets need to do.
Yeah, and even the Dalvin Cook fumble was frustrating because that's an effort thing.
Oh yeah,
that was the only play Lake and Tomlinson made was actually hit Micah Parsons' leg and stop the touchdown because that was like that was just pure effort. That was just wanting it more than he did, dude. And it was like a trickle effect. Like everybody's making mistakes. Like the entire team contributed to it. So you have Breece Hall didn't play enough. Dalvin Cook had the thing. So you go to the wide receivers where Garrett Wilson had the great touchdown. He should have actually had 2 touchdowns because the second one in the end zone, Zach got his hand hit. So that's so then when you have Lazard, the not using of Hardman doesn't make any sense to me, dude. It doesn't make any sense because you figure in a game like this, you're going to feature the short passing game, get the ball out of Zach's hands fast because they can't block anybody. And he's a speedster. He's good in space. Like, isn't this what Hackett's known for? The quick passing game. Like, am I missing something here?
Yeah, and even another thing too, it's this, you can say who's the best deep threat on the roster? Hardman. What's Wilson's number one trait that everybody always talks about? The arm strength and playmaking ability. When I think about top tier Zach Wilson plays, the first one that comes to my mind is the rollout to the right, his rookie year against the Titans, week 4, I think it was. And he just flicked his wrist and the ball shot down the field 50 yards or something. And it was an awesome play. I think it was to Corey Davis. But the bottom line is, if Hardman's not out on the field, who is actually stretching the defense, pulling the safeties back? You don't want to be in a situation offensively where the safeties know their best players are the running backs. They don't have any confidence in their quarterback. They don't try to throw the ball deep unless they're down by however many points, multiple scores, to where they're forced. Their number one deep threat, their fastest player on the offense, isn't even lining up in the huddle What do you think they're going to do? Send CJ Uzama down the field for a bomb? Like, no, they're not going to do
Nope.
that.
Nope.
It's Garrett. Yes, Garrett Wilson's a great player. Alan Lazard, they all have their roles cut out for them,
Yep.
and Hardman has his, but they're just not utilizing him. And I'm not saying, all we got to do is put Hardman in the game and we're dropping 40, but it's just like putting him out, like just lining up with him in the formation puts the thought in a defensive coordinator's
Yep.
mind, puts the thought in a safety's minds. This could be a 65-yard bomb here.
Yep.
Like Hardman has the potential to fly down the field, or it could be a reverse, or it could be a quick little screen or something like that. Fake the screen to him, which opens up somebody else down the field. I just don't. I don't get it, man. I don't.
No, so you had that. That's really frustrating. And then it's like, even put Gibson in the game. Let him take a shot down for the kid's got all kinds of speed, but it's like just maximizing your resources on offense. I don't think they did that. You look at the tight ends where they're trying to block. I wish Ruckert would get more chances, to be honest with you, too, man. The guy is physical. He's fast. He's probably a better athlete than both Azuma and Conklin. Conklin did a couple things, but it's just like you're just disappointed. You walk away on offense disappointed, and then you go to quarterback. And it's like you had going into this game, certain people just hate Zach Wilson going into the game. You can never get changed their mind. Like they think he's going to fail. When he struggled, they just say he sucks and he's a bust. But if we're being honest, he started out okay, right? The first half, he had the good 2-minute drive. He had the great pass to Garrett Wilson. The fourth quarter was a complete debacle. He was just throwing the ball up like it was a hot potato, and just he was trying too hard. And but how do you assess him, dude? Like, I don't know. Like, he's all we have. The Jets are committed to him. I don't think he's in the best chance to succeed because the offense, the line wasn't playing well. The play calling was suspect. How do you assess his performance?
God, man. Like, okay, so to answer your question, how do I assess it? He wasn't the reason why the Jets lost. No. The interceptions at the end, like the game was over at that point. One of which was, I think it was the first one where he rolled out to the right. And I don't know who picked it off, but it was just kind of right to him on the sidelines. Yep. That was the one that just kind of felt like the dagger.
Yep.
Ironically enough, that was the first one, but the game was over at that point. The defense was just completely gassed. And, if they're, tackling aside, play calling aside, blitzing aside, you're looking at the penalties too. It's just like the PI on Eccles on third down on the red zone. You're giving the Cowboys in their house more opportunities to score. Yep. You had the roughing the passer calls, 2 of them.
Yep.
And it's like, personally, I don't think I would have thrown the flag, but I understand that, like, in this day and age, like, why the refs did it. You know what I mean? And the fact is, whether you agree with it or you don't, they were called. So you have to adjust. Again, this is something that we've seen a lot of with Saleh in the past, where it's just like those inopportune, penalties. And also too, it's not just the penalties where, the Cowboys were getting bailed out. Like, they converted, I think, a few times on 3rd and long, one of which was like a 3rd and 12 or a 3rd and 14. CeeDee Lamb just popped right behind Eccles. And it's just like, we could have gotten off the field there, gotten the ball back. So it just seemed like, God, I don't even know what your what your question was. How do I assess Zach Wilson?
Yeah, like, because right now everybody's going into Zach sucks. He's terrible. We need this. We need that. We need that. I'm like, to me, looking at this game, of my top 5 things, the reason why he lost, he's not in the top 5. We spent a half hour talking about all things that went wrong, and then it's like all that, and then it's for Zach for me. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I look at it. I mean, like, it's just, it wasn't great, but my expectations weren't high to begin with. We kind of said, you know what, just manage the game. Like, we did a preview last week a little bit where it's like, make 3 or 4 big throws, manage game, don't make any pivotal mistakes, run your offense, and run the football. They couldn't run the football. They couldn't block. They couldn't tackle. It's just like, and he wasn't on the field a lot. He didn't get a lot of opportunities, and the play calling didn't help him. So, and I'm not even a Zach fan. I think that he shouldn't be playing this year, but this is the guy that we have because the Jets are arrogant. So it's just like, and now what you worry about is like this performance, especially the way he ended, is bad, dude, because 3 interceptions, and now the pressure is on him. You could feel the pressure. He had pressure before, but now it's like his little ghosts are going to start creeping in, and now he's featuring his biggest nemesis in Belichick, where you're like, this is the true test of his character and how he's going to play, dude, because this is going to be a problem.
And another thing to make a note of, too, if you are Hackett, like Saleh's talking about Parsons, not only just a great player, but he's lining up, in multiple areas in the defensive line. In other words, he's a versatile player. He can come from the left side. He can come from the right side. He can win one-on-one matchups pretty easily. The Patriots have a player like that, not
Yep.
as good as Parsons, but a guy, Matt
Yep.
Judon, who you don't
Same
know
thing.
if he's coming from the left side. You don't know if he's coming from the right side. You don't know if he's going to drop back in coverage. He could show like he's going to fly off the edge, but then he can, fake it and drop back and just fall back for an interception or just, quickly pop out and blow up a screen pass. Bill Belichick and the Patriots are desperate for a win.
Yep.
They're watching that Cowboys game saying, okay, they didn't allow Zach to throw down the field. They've really had no pass protection all year. Granted, it's only, the 2 games against 2 good teams, 2 good defenses, but it's like, you know what? We got a good defense too. We're going to just send Matt Judon. We're going to put Matt Judon in the same positions that Micah Parsons was.
100%.
Yeah. That's another one of these issues too for the Jets. It's just like, when you struggle that bad, when you have so many problems, when you end the game, it's like the other team that is about to play you is going to take notice, where it's just like, hey, well, they can't fix these 4 or 5 things that all went wrong. Like, the chances of that happening are pretty slim. They could maybe fix 2 or 3, but all 5, can they fix, tackling, getting off the field, converting on 3rd down, pass protection, getting Hardman in the game more, making sure Zach Wilson feels comfortable, calling a better game, using Breece Hall. Like, there's only so many things that the Jets can get better on a week-to-week basis. I don't think we're going to, see a perfectly clean, I guess perfectly clean isn't the right word, but we're not going to see a game next week where the defense is elite and then the offense is elite. And Zach is throwing for 300 yards, tons of touchdowns. And then on the flip side, Mac Jones is looking horrible and is just getting bodied by the defense. There's going to be some Achilles heel. And I just really, really hope it's not pass protection, man, because it's, we talked about it before, but it just does not seem like the Jets have any interest in bringing any more reinforcements, whether we're talking QB or offensive line. And playing bad is one thing, but you have to factor in injuries too. Like, even if Zach Wilson goes out there and throws for 400 yards the next 2 games, there's a chance he could get hurt. What do we do then?
Bro, it's wild. And you made a great point. I was thinking the same exact thing. I'm like, the way Saleh explained it of how come they couldn't defend Parsons was like a blueprint how to beat the Jets offense. Like, he literally told Belichick, we didn't expect Parsons to move all over the place. Oh, great. Well, guess what every team's going to do? They're going to move their best pass rusher all over the place because you guys don't know how to account for him. Like, they seem like they were unprepared. Like, why were they so surprised by this? And then after the first half is over, you make adjustments in the second half. Like, how does that work? And the Belichick always frustrates Zach to begin with. We've already seen it, to the point where he should have been benched last year and he wasn't. And now it's like, now I get nervous because now this game is pivotal. It's enormous, dude. Home game, division game. We've already talked about it. It's also pivotal for Zach because now the locker room's like, all right, we lost this game. Not really his fault, but whatever. You lose this game, dude. His psyche you worry about, the team rallying around him. They probably don't really respect him or trust him right now, even though they say they do. There's that thing. And it's like, they didn't bring anybody else in. We talked about it last week. I would have signed somebody last week because the excuse that Saleh keeps giving is, well, if we sign somebody now, he can't play this week. Well, if you signed him last week, you're already a week. If you signed him last week, you're a week into learning already. And then, so to me, I'm always looking at worst case scenario because let's not forget, Zach gets hurt. It's not like Zach is Superman. If he gets banged up, are you that confident in Tim Boyle? Or do you have to wait till Zach gets hurt? Tim Boyle comes in and plays horribly. Like, oh, now we need a quarterback. It doesn't make any sense, dude. Like today they should have signed buddy. Like, what are they waiting for? And the thing that bothers me even more, can you tell I'm pissed off, dude? I'm pissed. The thing that bothers me more is they had to have the report come out where the Jets were talking to Colt McCoy and Chad Henne, but they made it clear to them they're the backup. They are so worried about the perception about Zach Wilson. Who cares, dude? We know he's the starter for now because you have no other choice. He's the only guy here. We know he's a starting quarterback because there's nobody, like, that's where it is. But they're walking a very fine line right now with this team because there's way too much talent. And if he struggles and they lose, dude, that locker room, we saw the locker room last year when they ride around Mike White. There's going to be rumblings, dude. You have a bad performance this week. You ride a couple more, dude. Sal's going to be a tough spot. They're not going to play for him. They're not.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, speaking of Mike White, they could have brought him back, but they didn't.
Because of Zach. Because of Zach, dude. Let's be honest. They protected. Sorry, I cut you off, but they protected him, dude, because the team rallied around Mike White. He was a respected leader that gave his heart and soul to the team, was playing with broken ribs. right? They wanted him to play. That was their guy. They got rid of their guy. So, okay, you know what? Zach's your guy now. Like, kind of forcing on the team. Like, he is your guy. They're sticking by him. But at some point, he's got to step up. He's got to rise to the occasion. He did some good things, some bad things. But now it's like this week for me is make or break for him. If they don't win this game and Zach plays mediocre, play Tim Boyle. Like, you have to do something because you don't want to see the season go down the drain, and you don't want to lose the locker room either. We're like, listen, this, you know what I mean? Like, Aaron Rodgers got hurt a couple weeks ago. This isn't something new here. You know, it's like you got to adjust.
You know, it really seems, and like you can draw multiple, look at multiple instances throughout Joe Douglas being here where it just begs the question, like, what was the plan if something were to go wrong? Like, where was the insurance policy in place? You know, Zach Wilson obviously is a prime example this season, right? Like, well, Rodgers, you know, despite him being elite, he's old. You know, he's 39 years old. We're putting him behind a thin and old offensive line, putting so much responsibility on players coming back from injury. So that's one thing. We could also factor in when Zach was first drafted, and there was just like, okay, we're starting Zach. We're basically just giving him the job with a rookie head coach, a rookie offensive coordinator. This offensive coordinator has never called plays before, Mike LaFleur. He's never installed his offense by himself before. He's never developed a rookie quarterback before. So now Zach has to learn from the two top dogs in the organization are both rookies. You look at the quarterback room, James Morgan, Mike White, at that point in time, neither guy had taken a regular season snap. In other words, not a single person in the organization like had the like wear and tear is not the right word, but they had like the resume, right? It wasn't until midway through the season where we brought in Joe Flacco. And it's like, man, we could have brought Flacco in and, you know, trading a draft pick for him aside, whatever. But, you know, we could have had him early on in the season. And I know it's overblown, but I always bring it up because it's just like, that's an instance right there where it was like, what happens? Like, was there any thought if things go south, if Zach struggles, where's the veteran that he could look to? Right. At least Sam Darnold's, you know, at least they had McCown in the building, and Darnold has, you know, I know ultimately it didn't work out, but Darnold, like if McCown wasn't there, I felt like Sam probably would have been a lot worse. I mean, he talked about it numerous times in numerous interviews. If Josh wasn't there, I don't know where I'd be. He's really done a lot for me. And, it's just tough, right? And you know, this trickles into offensive line. If guys get hurt, just being super thin at specific positions, it trickles into passing on multiple guys in free agency, thinking we're going to solve certain issues with the guys that we currently have, and then it ends up not really panning out that way, and then we're in a panic situation. It's just a bit. You know, frankly, it just drives me up a wall. It's just like, how many times do we have to be in these emergency? You know, another thing, Carl Lawson gets hurt. It's just like our pass rush is hardly there all season. And, you know, you know, granted it's a good excuse, but the excuse was, well, Carl Lawson's out for the year. It's just like, okay, but we've had an entire free agency period, an entire draft, you know, a waiver wire, you know, situation. We could have added more guys, but we didn't. And we have horrible pass rush in a defense that's known that needs a good pass rush to have success. And it's just like, well, he got hurt and like nothing else is done. So I don't know. The whole like lack of a plan B just drives me up a wall.
No. And right now your plan B is Tim Boyle. Like you're in week 3 in a monumental game where Zach's taking some big hits because they can't protect him. And that's it. Like, they're just like, all right, Tim Boyle's our guy. And he's got no resume either. Like this has been, and I mean, people are going to hate me for this, but I've been saying this the entire offseason. I would have signed Bridgewater. I would have signed Minshew and said, Zach, this is a true redshirt year. We don't want you to play this year. We want you to sit back and watch these two veterans play all year. We don't want you to see the field because you need to just reset and figure it out. The Jets were, because not Minshew and Bridgewater didn't get time for a lot of money, dude. They were cheap contracts, both of them. And it's like, and now all the guys everybody wants is the guys they could have signed in the offseason anyway. So now the question is, if Zach gets banged up, you mean to tell me Joe Douglas and Saleh have full faith of handing this team over to Tim Boyle? Say, you know what, kid? Go make a run with the playoffs. That's what we're doing? That's the guy. And if they don't have that faith, why is he on the team? What is he here for?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I'm trying to pull up the contracts, right? What these guys actually signed, what they
Nothing,
signed
dude. It was like
for.
what 2.5 million. I don't think it was a lot at all. I think they were cheap.
Okay, so Jacoby Brissett 1 year 8 mil, a bit
That's
expensive.
expensive.
Mike White 2 years 8 mil. Marcus Mariota, I mean that would have been a great option. 1 year 5 mil.
Yep.
Cooper Rush 2 years 5 mil. Sam Darnold wouldn't have happened, but 1 year 4.5. I'm trying to find Teddy Bridge. All right, Bridgewater 1 year 3 mil.
Exactly. What mints you get,
Minshew got 1 year 3.5 mil.
bro?
Baker Mayfield 1 year 4 mil. He looks like a beast.
Yep.
Uh,
This was all about Zach, dude. They didn't want to. They didn't want to ruffle Zach's feathers. They wanted to sell everybody like, oh, he's our guy. We believe in him, and they were believing in him because they thought that Aaron Rodgers wouldn't get hurt. That's what they thought. And now that he
yeah,
did get hurt, it's just like this is going to be a make or break year for him. And it's not. It's just going down the wrong direction, dude. He has the weight of the
and
world on his shoulders.
and it's just like this is like exactly like the point that I'm making. It's like, what was the plan B? Like a confident plan B. I'm not just
Yep.
saying like any old idea, like a confident plan B. If Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, it just didn't seem like we had one, but he got hurt. So now we're in a position where it's just like, here's another opportunity to figure out a plan B, to figure out an insurance policy. What if Zach Wilson doesn't play well? What if
Yep.
Zach Wilson gets hurt? What if the team is just, it's time. Like you said, it's time.
Yep.
He loses against the Patriots, or, maybe he looks bad against the Patriots or whatever it is. And it just feels like, it's time to make that change, whether it's this week, next week, the week
Yep.
after. But you don't have the Mike White on the roster. You
No.
don't have, I mean, maybe Tim Boyle comes in and looks great, but it's just like there's no guarantee.
But why take
But
the chance? But like the thing is, like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
what if he
go ahead,
plays?
go ahead.
What if he played the same way he played against New England last year, where he was so terrible that at halftime you're like, you got to get him out of the game. Like he was so overwhelmed and swimming. Say this Sunday, and I'm like a worst case scenario kind of person because just to make a point. This Sunday, home game, and we're at halftime, and Zach is struggling mightily, where he looks lost, dazed, and confused. Is Salah not going to bench him because we only have Tim Boyle? You have to, just for in terms of integrity, for keeping the locker room on your side, where they're like, all right, coach, you are aiming to win. Like the goal is to win football games. It's not about ego, not about pride, not about anything else. I don't care what your draft status is. It's about winning football games. Does Salah have the courage to bench Zach this Sunday if he's struggling? That's what I want to know. If they're scared to play Boyle, he shouldn't be on the team. Another guy should have already been there before. And that's my concern. Because, dude, you don't want to see him keep trotting him out and losing games with this much talent on the team. It's not fair to anybody.
Yeah, and it goes back to the point that we were making before. And by the way, it's not like the Jets are strapped for cash. We're
No.
sitting right with like 19, $20 million in cap space.
Yep.
We could have brought Teddy Bridgewater in for 1 year 5 mil, right? Give him an extra 2 mil and brought him in.
Yep.
I mean, he knew he was going to be the backup in Detroit. He was a late summer signing. So we had months to bring him in.
Yep.
And, I know hindsight's 2020. But at the same time, it's like thin offensive line. We're hoping for average offensive line play. It's old. These guys are coming off big injuries. Aaron Rodgers is 39. Everybody knows about the MetLife turf. Like there's a lot of things that a lot of signs that point into the direction of, hey, Aaron Rodgers getting hurt is a real possibility. And you know what? We have to prepare for something that
Zach's a
something like that
project.
happens. Yeah, and if we do not feel comfortable rolling with Zach Wilson, then we should not just give him the backup quarterback job.
100%.
Last season, there was a record 64 different starting quarterbacks, not guys that are coming in, taking a knee or whatever, like 64 different starting QBs. That's double the league, So it's just like, in other words, that's basically saying you got to have, in 2023, you have to have a competent backup. Maybe he's not like one of the top 5 backups in football, but it's just like, get somebody out there that you can roll. You don't have to change anything up. You can roll out there. You feel good about the offense. It's not just like automatic loss. And by the way, I'm not saying Zach is an automatic loss. I'm not saying that Zach is going to go out there and suck and look overwhelmed. There's a chance that he looks great, and that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I really, really want to happen. But again, the point is, in the event that he doesn't, what's the plan B? And it just doesn't feel like we have one.
No, you don't want to go through that whole Luke Falk, Trevor Siemian nonsense again, where like you're just picking up guys and like you sign a guy tomorrow, he's starting on Sunday. But this could all be avoided. And this is things we've talked about in the offseason. We talked about it. Like you have to have a solid plan B. And it's like you want a guy that can just run the offense competently. We're not asking for a lot. A guy that's been there, done that. Even like Case Keenum, bro. Like I'm that desperate. You had me researching guys last week. I'm looking up Case Keenum stats. Like I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But I'm like, he's won a playoff game. He knows the NFL. Like he can get in and out of the huddle, make the basic passes, and we'll be fine. Zach, currently right now, you get nervous when he throws the ball because you don't know what you're going to get him. Can he read the defense? Can he step into his throws? What are you going to get out of him? And that's what makes you nervous. And listen, I hope he plays great on Sunday. We're all rooting for him because we want to salvage our season. I don't want to sit through a 6-12 or a 6-11 season this year. Like our expectations are higher. Like there's too much talent, and I don't want to divide the locker room. My biggest concern is that another rough loss, especially this Sunday. The locker room's the finger point is going to start. The rumbling's going to start. All the unnamed sources will start coming out where it's going to be like,
Well,
oh, Zach isn't the guy. You know how it works, dude.
yeah, I mean, well, we got to have a stronger locker room than that, man. Like Sully's been here for years.
It happened
It's
last
not
year.
like, yeah, like that's kind of the question mark, right? That's my concern. It's just like if that starts happening again, to me, that's a problem.
Yep.
It's not year one where you're trying to establish a culture. You're getting rid of guys that they might not fit the culture, and you're in the process. Like you can't build a perfect team in one off season. It's just impossible. I don't care who you are.
Yep.
You know, this is year 3 with Robert Saleh in house, right?
Yep.
Joe Douglas has been here longer than Robert Saleh.
Yep.
If we have problems with finger pointing and unnamed sources, guys getting thrown under the bus, we don't know where these things are coming from, and that's what I'm talking about too with rocking the boat, rattling the cage. Like, don't show outsiders,
100%.
don't show other teams
Yep.
out there, don't show the fans that this stuff gets under your skin. Just take it on the chin. Yeah, we sucked. Guess what? We'll get better next week. We'll learn from him. It is
Week
what it
2.
is.
Yeah.
Who goes undefeated in the NFL? Nobody.
Yep.
Like you can look at great teams out there. They lose 5-6 games. It's 5-6 games where you get beat. Jets are 1-1 right now. You got to right the ship this week.
Yeah, and the only way that Zach is lucky right now is the defense played so poorly on Sunday. They can't point any fingers because they were terrible. So they can't point they were so bad. Like it's like, listen, it was a cumulative effort. They've all sucked. But the defense turns around, plays a very good game on Sunday, and the offense can't score again. That's when all this stuff happens. But the one thing I will say is I love the way Garrett Wilson handles himself. Garrett Wilson is true. He's like captain material. He's a true leader where he's trying to rally around Zach. Like, listen, man, we all got to do better. We got to help him out. Like he can be the one that's pissed off the most. He got the touchdown, but he's probably frustrated where he's not getting his 8-9 catches a game, and probably had the expectation with Aaron Rodgers going to the Pro Bowl. But he's taking that leadership role on. Like, listen, we can't be pointing fingers. We can't be saying anything. It's week 2. We have confidence in him. Like, don't be a distraction. Don't be a problem. I love the way he handles himself, dude. I do. He's a class act for sure.
Honestly, man, like if I'm Zach Wilson, I really don't think it's a bad approach to look at yourself and look at the situation and just kind of understand, like, dude, I've been through a lot here. Like, I haven't played the best since I've been drafted. They haven't really, they didn't give me the veteran early on. They gave me a rookie play caller early on. We also saw the report about Mike LaFleur and Zach Wilson not getting along, not being on the same page. The plan wasn't for me to play this season, but here I am out here playing. Offensive line has always been a question. I got a defensive head coach. Like if I'm Zach, maybe a mentality that would benefit him is just kind of like the effort mentality. Like, I'm going to go out there and do my thing. I don't care what the fans say. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what the stat sheet says. I'm just going to go out here and try to win for my team, win for myself, and just play ball like, I did back at BYU. I'm not saying it's that easy, but it's just like, instead of being so focused on like the post-game pressers and the stat sheet and interceptions that are going to look bad on Twitter and, what are people going to say? It's just like, have effort. Like this is, my last chance here in New York. I'm going to go out firing. I'm going to go out trying to push the ball, thread the needle, and try to show people why I was the second overall pick.
Yeah, I'd rather him do that than be a robot or be scared. Like go down in flames. Go down with your best effort, your best mindset, the way you think you play the game, and that's it. Because the way right now, having him handcuffed and uncertain and being skittish and just not trusting his eyes is rough, dude. And it's like, can he read the defense? Can he not do this and that? And like, the thing is, we kind of thought Hackett was going to help a lot of this stuff, but it just shows how much of a project he really is, right? Like, it's like little basic things you see again. You're like, man, like that's a throw you should make. That's something you should read. But then like the pressure, you're down by God knows how many points, 20 points. So this is going to be interesting to see how this team rallies this weekend. Do you think they make any changes? Well, I know there's guys banged up. Quincy Williams is banged up. Adams is banged up. Michael Carter's second is banged up. So your secondary is a mess. When they're already banged up with Chuck Clark out. Do they make any changes? Do you think, or do you think Sal is kind of like, you know what? I'll keep everything status quo. The whole Will McDonald thing, everybody kind of reacted to. It didn't really bother me too much. I kind of expected it. Do you think there's any changes this weekend?
Nah. I think it'll probably, look the same because it's not like the Patriots just, shred Salah's defense.
Yeah.
They've had some success here and there, but last season specifically, like we did a pretty good job against New England,
Yep.
like from a defensive side.
Yep.
So yeah, I think really the hope is defense get back on track, look like we did last season.
Yep.
And then with the offense, it's just like mistake-free football. Can we protect Zach Wilson? Can we give him a chance? If he does get that time, can he just go out there and make good decisions?
Yeah, this game is on Hackett, I think, is coming up. You've got to clean up these offensive line issues, Todd Downing, all these guys, because there was times the offensive line looked completely confused. Like they did not know what to do, who to block, where to go. Like you literally saw guys turn around like, wait, that was my guy? Like what just happened? And it's only week two. So I understand. And they didn't play together in the preseason. Only 4 of them did. But this is, you only have so many games you can keep doing this.
Yeah, and it's like, God, I remember looking at comments on every video that I posted about the offensive staff, right? So when the Jets brought in Hackett, of course, there was the Aaron Rodgers twist, which was, obviously beneficial. And that was one of the biggest reasons why he, ended up in New York. But like Todd Downing specifically,
Yes.
Keith Carter as well, like there were multiple Titans fans, whether it was like through like DMs or comments just saying like, hey, dude, good luck. Like we needed a change. We are so thankful that he is outside of our building now. Like they needed to go.
Yep.
But so you're looking at it from a Jets point of view, and it's just like Zach Wilson's the quarterback. Everybody knows the perception there. Nathaniel Hackett is the OC without Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Everybody knows the perception with about Nathaniel Hackett without Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Behind them, you got Todd Downing and Keith Carter helping out on the offensive line. And it's just like we, kind of dive into the trenches of what Tennessee had to deal with. It was not pretty offensively. Nope. So you're looking at the entire room and it's just like, man, there's a bunch of unknowns here. And, you can spin it like, okay, it's a bunch of guys with stuff to prove. But it's just like we need to see some sort of evidence. And I don't want to overreact too much because it is just one game. Like look at the Buffalo Bills. They had a clunker against the Jets. They went out there and ripped apart the Raiders.
Yep.
KC dropped the game against Detroit, came back against Jacksonville, looked like a different team. So, things change. It is a week-to-week league, but at the end of the day, if there are apparent problems that the Jets have and we don't do anything about them, it is what it is. But if they continue to rise again, I'm going to have a major issue.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And they have no wiggle room. Like winning's a great deodorant. They beat the Bills, thank God. If they lost that Bills game coming into this back-to-back losses, this would have been a complete train wreck. We'd have been off the rails. But, winning's a great deodorant. So you had that. You had the stench of this week. You win next week, you're right. If you lose to the Patriots, the schedule's not your friend because it's just like it's just relentless. And then it's going to start adding up where your concerns add up, the losses add up, and then your questions add up. And then your season kind of spirals out of control. So that's where Sunday is monumental, dude. I'm just, everybody's like, it can't be a must-win week 3. It's a must-win for week 3. You have to win this game, dude, for so many friggin' reasons. Quiet all the critics, get Zach back on track, win a football game, division game, keep yourself in the hunt. While the AFC's a mess, everybody's losing games. But this is a good test for leadership, a good test for Hackett, for the coaching, because it's just not a good look right now. It's just, you have a lot of concerns, like, all over the team. It's kind of almost like last year a little bit, where it's kind of weird, right? You get that same like weird feeling with this team.
Yeah, it's it's crazy because like we do have a different offensive staff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But it feels like it's the same squad. And here's the deal: like New England's hungry for a win. If they drop to 0-3, 0-2 in the division, there's going to be problems.
Yeah, no, it's
So they are looking at Zach Wilson like licking their chops to a certain degree. Like, we are going to get after him. We are going to confuse him. Looking at the pass pro against the Bills, looking at the pass pro against the Cowboys, Belichick, right? The defensive staff, Mayo, all these guys, they're saying, all right, we are moving Judon around. We are
yep.
going to get after it. We've had success in MetLife. We've had success going up against Wilson. So it's up to the Jets, right? How are they going to respond against a good Patriots team? I know they're 0-2 here, but they barely lost to Philly, and they had an opportunity to beat. I don't know if you caught the
Yeah.
game last
Yep.
night, but
Yep.
they were in it to the end. I'm not looking at New England saying like, oh, they suck, they're 0-2. Not
Nope.
in the slightest.
No, and this is Hackett against Belichick, dude. You got to see what Hackett's made of now. It's like, all right, the first week was, Zach had to go in last minute. Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Okay. This week, short work week. All right. This is 2 games he played now. You have enough film to figure out what the kid can do, what he can't do, what he can't see. Like, there's enough film
Coming
to
back
figure
home too.
coming back home, full week. Like, all the built-in excuses are kind of gone, in my opinion. Not being a jerk, but it's the NFL, dude. Like, guys get hurt all the time. Quarterbacks come in and play well without having to worry about practice. Zach's got a couple weeks now, and he's got enough experience in the NFL to be a quarterback. So this is on Hackett to figure it out. It's not going to be easy. I don't discount the Patriots. With Aaron Rodgers, I did, because I thought we had a high-level quarterback. We want to sweep the Patriots. Now it's going to be a much more competitive game, a lot more X's and O's, a lot of coaching, and you got to take advantage of mismatches what you have. But it's going to be fascinating, dude. We got to do predictions like at the end of the week and everything like that. I don't have any confidence right now. I don't know what to expect. I'm curious to see how the injury report plays out. Quincy Williams is the big one. He's probably their best linebacker at this point. So it's gonna be interesting, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. Hackett is the X factor. Hackett is the guy that if he doesn't come to, I was going to say come to play, come to coach,
Yep. He'll be
it
exposed.
might get ugly. But if Hackett is out there dealing play calls, game plan, offense is looking good, offense is looking like a well-oiled machine, then I think the defense will go out there and handle business against because the Pats offense really, really vanilla is not the right word. They lack explosion. I don't know if
Yeah.
you noticed, like they don't really have that pop like
Nope.
offensively.
Nope.
It seems like if they want to get in the end zone, they have to go on a 7 to 12 play drive.
They grind it
They
out.
have to take their time. And I like Bill O'Brien, I do, and I don't think Mac Jones is as bad as everybody says, but it just seems like they just don't have the explosion offensively, which bodes well for the Jets because it's like more opportunities to make plays on the football, more opportunities to make plays in general, really.
Yeah, 100%. They grind it out, the slow, methodical drives, run the ball, a lot of physicality, throw the ball at tight end, spread it out. But Mac Jones made some throws last night I didn't think he could make. I was like, all right, this kid's playing some decent football. I always discounted him, but they're solid. They're well coached. They're going to be prepared. It's not going to be an easy game, man. It's going to be. I hate feeling like this. Like we entered the season so confident, and now it's like week 3, we're already getting nervous. We're like you get like the anxiety starting to kick in a little bit. Brutal.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I'm not really feeling like super, super anxious about it. I think I'm going to have a major issue though if, of course, not only if we lose, but if we lose because of pass pro,
Yep.
if we lose because of Hackett, if we lose because of quarterback play, that's when I'm really gonna get, irritated. But up until then, it's just like, hey, the Jets know what they did wrong against Dallas.
Yeah.
Use the game as a learning opportunity,
Yep.
fix your mistakes, and move forward. But anything else you wanted to add before we wrap it up? Looking at it right now, it's an hour, dude. I felt like 25 minutes.
Yeah, we're both all anime. No, man. I mean, this is it's tough. It's like we're gonna probably come off a little negative, a little harsh, but it's just based on what we've seen the last 2 weeks. So, like, obviously, this is a huge bounce back opportunity for the Jets. Like, they're at home. The crowd's gonna be ready. We're all gonna wipe this away. Today's Monday. By Thursday, we're all back to like go Jets and everything else. But there's harsh criticism, but it's warranted. So hopefully they turn this around because you don't want to have another season of this, man. Like this is it's not enjoyable. You wake up today, you're annoyed, right? And then you go on social media. You don't want to be on social media because that's a train wreck. So like, all right, let's just bounce back. But I don't know. An hour is just crazy, dude. I don't know how that went so fast.
Yeah, no, it's wild. But like we were talking about at the start of the video, man, we're 1-1. Like we're not in a bad spot. Like, Pittsburgh loses tonight to Cleveland. It's just like they're going to be 0-2, and they looked horrible against the 49ers. Like like there's a couple situations at Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, I don't know if he can go this week. Like they're already 0-2. There's a couple situations out there where it's just like, hey, we could be in a lot worse of a position. So, yeah, if the Jets have their path, they know what they have to do. The questions are out there. Can they answer them? But I think that's going to be it.
I'm
There's,
good.
if there's anything else that you wanted to, cover here.
Nah, man, we're wrapping this up. No, I'm good, man. I'm excited, ready to turn the page, and just hopefully they surprise us and come out with a big time performance on Sunday.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, thanks so much for everybody, sticking around an hour show. I think this is probably like the longest video I've ever, or we've ever, uploaded to YouTube. So, yeah, no, I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. And as always, go Jets.